It was a Tuesday evening, the kind where the air felt heavy with an unspoken tension. I was sitting in the living room, nursing a glass of whiskey, when my wife Lauren walked in. She seemed distracted, hurried, like she was running from something. Her coat hung loosely on her shoulders, and her hands fidgeted with her purse. But it wasn't her demeanor that caught my attention. It was the scent. A deep, musky cologne lingered on her clothes, not mine. I knew that scent. It was distinctive, the kind that clung like an accusation. My stomach churned, a mix of disbelief and fury, but I kept my expression neutral. "Hey, babe," I said, my voice even betraying nothing. "How was your day?" She froze for a second, then turned to face me, her smile faltering. "It was fine. Just busy, you know. Meetings, errands, the usual." Her voice was too bright, too rehearsed. "Meet anyone interesting?" I asked, swirling the amber liquid in my glass. Her eyes flickered for a fraction of a second. She shook her head quickly. "No, just the usual faces." I nodded, biting back the words that threatened to spill out. Instead, I excused myself and went to our bedroom. Alone, I sat on the edge of the bed, gripping the edge of the mattress as the realization settled over me like a suffocating fog. Lauren was cheating. For 2 days, I watched her closely. Subtle changes I hadn't noticed before became glaringly obvious. The sudden late-night work meetings, the extra care she put into her appearance, the way she guarded her phone like it held state secrets. She thought she was clever, but the evidence was mounting. I could have confronted her then, but I wanted more. I needed undeniable proof. The next evening, while she showered, I unlocked her phone. Months of trust had left me with her passcode, though I felt like a thief as I scrolled through her messages. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for. The name Mark appeared more times than I could count. The texts were flirtatious at first, then explicit. I read with a growing knot in my chest, each word cutting deeper. There were pictures, too, ones that left no room for interpretation. My hand trembled as I put the phone back where I found it. I had all the proof I needed, but I didn't want a confrontation. I wanted revenge. The plan began to form that night as I lay beside her, pretending to sleep. I thought of all the ways I could make her pay, but one stood out. I wasn't going to yell or scream or even cry. I was going to destroy the life she had so carefully built behind my back. The next morning, I called in sick to work and spent the day preparing. I gathered every shred of evidence from her phone and backed it up. Photos, texts, call logs. I even hired a private investigator to tail her and her lover. Within days, I had a dossier that could ruin her reputation. Then, I turned my attention to our finances. Lauren had no idea that I had been handling our accounts with precision. I knew exactly how much was in each account, how much was tied up in investments, and where the weak points were. Over the next week, I quietly transferred money out of our joint account into one solely under my name. I canceled her credit cards, ensuring she wouldn't notice until it was too late. While I worked in the shadows, I played the doting husband. I brought her flowers, cooked her favorite meals, even planned a weekend getaway. She seemed wary at first, perhaps sensing a change in me, but she quickly relaxed, thinking she had me fooled. The weekend getaway was the final act. I'd chosen a secluded cabin in the woods, a place with no distractions and plenty of privacy. Lauren was thrilled, thinking it was a romantic gesture. Little did she know it was the stage for her undoing. The first night, I cooked dinner and poured her favorite wine. As we ate, I kept the conversation light, steering it toward memories of happier times. When she was sufficiently relaxed, I leaned back in my chair and looked her in the eye. "Lauren," I said softly, "how long have you been sleeping with Mark?" Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. The color drained from her face, and she set the fork down with trembling hands. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. I pulled out my phone and slid it across the table. The screen lit up with her incriminating texts and photos. Her eyes widened as she scrolled through the damning evidence. "It's not what it looks like," she whispered, tears welling up. "Don't insult me by lying," I said, my voice cold. "I know everything." She broke down then, sobbing and begging for forgiveness. She swore it had been a mistake, that it was over, that she loved me. But her words were empty, and I had no intention of forgiving her. "You want to talk about love?" I said, standing up. "Love doesn't betray. Love doesn't humiliate. Whatever this was, it wasn't love. She reached for me, but I stepped back, shaking my head. You should know, I continued. I've already filed for divorce. Everything you've done, every penny you've spent on him, every lie you've told, it's all documented. Her sobs turned into panicked gasps. Please, don't do this, she begged. I'll do anything to fix this. Just tell me what to do. You'll sign the papers, I said, and you'll do it quietly. If you try to fight me, I'll make sure everyone knows what you did. She begged and pleaded, but I was unmoved. I'd made up my mind. The divorce was finalized within months. Lauren walked away with almost nothing, her reputation in shreds. Mark, as it turned out, was married too, and his wife was less forgiving than I had been. Between the two of us, we'd ensured they paid dearly for their betrayal. As for me, I moved on. I sold the house we'd shared and started fresh in a new city. The pain of her betrayal lingered, but it no longer defined me. I had taken back control of my life, and it felt good. Lauren reached out once, months after the dust had settled. She wanted to apologize, to see if there was any chance of reconciliation. I didn't respond. Some doors, once closed, should remain that way. In the end, I wasn't left begging her to stop. She was the one begging for forgiveness, for another chance, for mercy. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free.